What is going on, you guys? Alex Chasen back here with a brand new video. Hopefully you're having a great day, afternoon, or night, wherever you guys are in this world. And for today's video, it's almost the end of the season. There are 2 games left for every single team in the association. So today, I thought it was a perfect time for me to discuss my 2023-2024 NBA season awards ballot. Man, it feels like it was just October. It also feels like I was just discussing my All-Stars for this season in around January, February. It felt like it was just that time. But the season is almost over. It's almost play-in time. It's almost playoff time. But let's discuss my awards. Before I completely dive into it, if you don't like it, that's okay. You have an opinion, I have an opinion, and it's perfectly A-okay. All right, if you disagree, let me know down in the comments below. I'm all for the respectful NBA conversations. I don't expect everyone to agree with me. But let's jump right into it with most improved player. And the 2 main guys here are, of course, Coby White and Tyrese Maxey. Those are the 2 main guys, but I do want to give a shout out to Jalen Johnson of the Atlanta Hawks. Sadly, he didn't hit the threshold of those 65 games to be in award conversations. Injuries kind of held him out, but Jalen Johnson definitely deserves his flowers, going from 5 points per game up to 16 points per game, starting 52 out of his 56 games this year, where last year he played 70 games and only started 6. Jalen Johnson definitely had an MIP-worthy conversation, but with the new CBA rules, you have to play 65-plus games, and sadly, Jalen Johnson only played 56. So in my opinion, there's only 2 options here, Tyrese Maxey or Coby White. Now, like I started off this video with, we all have our own opinions. A lot of people are going to go with Tyrese Maxey, but this man was already a star. Last season, he was at 20 points per game, and I know this season he took his official all-star leap up to 25 points per game, and then with Joel Embiid out, he bumped that up to 26 points per game, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds in the 33 games Joel Embiid missed this year. So don't get me wrong, Tyrese Maxey took a leap. But if you want to talk about most improved, we kind of saw that leap coming from Tyrese Maxey. Coby White, his career was looking like it was coming to an end, at least on that starting end. Maybe he'd find, a backup role somewhere, but no, he took a leap. Coby White went from averaging just 9 points per game, starting 2 games last year, and it's not like he was hurt a lot of the season. He played 74 games and only started 2. To this year, averaging 19 points per game, starting 76 of his 77 games played. Now, in my opinion, that's a little bit more worthy of an MIP. A career kind of going down the drain. Rookie year, averaged 13 points per game. Sophomore year, 15 points per game. And then ever since then, it went down to 12. And then last year, hitting rock bottom at 9 points per game. Not efficient in any facet of the game. Bulls fans are really, really disappointed with Coby White. To now this year, 19 points per game. Taking the Zach LaVine, missing a lot of time, and taking that as an opportunity to play a lot. Same with Lonzo Ball out this entire year. Using those 2 guys as an opportunity to prove himself. Same thing for Ayo Dosunmu. I got to give him his flowers as well. But Coby White, in my opinion, is number 1 for most improved player this season. Next up, let's discuss the number 1 option off the bench, the 6th man of the year. At 3rd place, got to be Bobby Portis. Ever since he has been on the Milwaukee Bucks, playing off the bench, he has been in 6th man of the year conversations, and is going to be back there again. So 3rd place is going to go to Bobby Portis, always an effective guy off the bench. And now here's where some people might disagree, especially my roommate right next door. He's a Sacramento Kings fan, but I'm sorry, Jamie. Sorry. Hopefully he can hear me. I cannot give it to Malik Monk. I can't do it. I got to give it to Norman Powell. And here's why. This is the first time in about 5 or 6 years the LA Clippers have reached the 50-plus win mark. They're at 51 wins, 29 losses. They could end 53-29, 2 games left. Whatever it may be, it's been a little bit of time since the Clippers have been this good again. Obviously, they've had 48, 49 win seasons, but I put a lot of emphasis on that 50-win mark. That shows you're a really, really good team. And then you have the Sacramento Kings, of course, playing in a very, very deep and tough Western Conference. Their 45 wins in the Eastern Conference would have them around. Actually, they'd be in the same place, so it even proves my argument even more. They're 45 wins at the 8th seed, and they'd be around the 7th or even 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. So my point even stands more. If the Sacramento Kings were around 49, 50 wins, on par with the LA Clippers, I'd give it to Malik Monk. But for the fact that the LA Clippers are a 51-win team, the 4th seed in the Western Conference, I just edge it to Norman Powell. Malik Monk is second. No hate to Malik Monk, but I got to give it to Norman Powell. And let's just say Malik Monk does win the award in real life. Will I be mad? Will I throw my arms in the air? Absolutely not. Next up is an award, and I'm going to be honest with y'all, I don't really care about, but I'm going to discuss it because it's an official NBA award. That being Clutch Player of the Year. Being introduced last year, De'Aaron Fox was the first-time winner. Congratulations. This year, though, I got to give it to Stephen Curry, DeMar DeRozan, or Damian Lillard. The reason why I name three and say or, because I honestly don't care. It's just not, to me, it's just not a real award. It's just kind of another award the NBA is throwing out to give someone a nice, congratulations, you got an award. But it's not a real award. It's not like the rest of them that I really, really value very highly. But if I got to pick one, I'm going to give it to Stephen Curry. And I did look at the statistics of clutch time points. There's a lot of math going on here, which I don't necessarily love. But I do like stats. So I forced myself to figure out the math. Because you got clutch squared, you got clutch percentage, you got normal, you got garbage time, and then they do this whole math ratio here to try to figure out what your clutch percentage is. And DeMar DeRozan is technically number one in the league at a 10.5% clutch shooting percentage, and then the clutch squared, which is top 1% potential win probability impact, math jargon, he's at a 1.8%, which is, top echelon in the league. But I'm going to give it to Stephen Curry because they got more wins on the year. He's got more clutch opportunities. So I'm going to give it to Stephen Curry, but DeMar DeRozan is second, and then Damian Lillard, who is also high in the clutch squared percentage. Whatever that means. Again, I don't really value this too highly, but those are the three guys, and I'm going to give it to Stephen Curry. Coach of the Year, I got to give it to Mark Daigneault of the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I just think it's a no-brainer. I mean, I personally believed in the OKC Thunder. I've been on it since July. Ever since I saw the makeup of this team, the moves they made in the offseason, plus just Chet Holmgren being healthy. I'm a huge SGA fan, my favorite player in the league. I believed in this team. I didn't expect the jump from J-Dub. That was amazing. I didn't really expect a little bit of a stagnant play style of Josh Giddey. But overall, I am more than impressed with this OKC Thunder team, and that is led by Mark Daigneault, head coach. Got to give it to him. But I also want to show love to also Chris Finch, who's my second option here, and then Jamal Mosley over the Orlando Magic. I mean, going to OKC and Minnesota, those are two teams fighting for the number one seed still in the Western Conference. Do I think they'll edge out the Nuggets? Maybe, maybe not. But all three of those teams are fighting for it right now, and that's led by Chris Finch and Mark Daigneault. For Chris Finch's sake, he figured out Cat and Gobert. Last year, do you remember the drama between the two? I don't know if they hate each other on a personal level, but when it came to the play style on the court, it was not meshing. Same with Ant. He was frustrated. That whole team was looking a bit dysfunctional. And who figured that out? I got to give that credit to Chris Finch. Now moving over to Jamal Mosley and the Orlando Magic. If you were to tell me at the beginning of this season, they were going to be the fifth seed in the Eastern Conference, sitting at 46-34, and even a few weeks ago, they were the third seed in the Eastern Conference, fighting for that second seed with the Milwaukee Bucks. If you were to tell me that, I'd be like, if everything worked absolutely perfectly, maybe. And it did. It worked absolutely perfectly, and they're sitting in a fantastic spot in their rebuild, a very short rebuild. It's only been like 3 or 4 years since they traded Vucevic away. Was that pre or post-COVID? Either way, it has not been, overly long since they traded Vucevic away. It was the year after the bubble, that's right. It was the 2021 season. So for half the season when they had or more than half the season, actually like 2/3 of the season when they had no fans, that's right. That's when they got rid of Vooch, Evan Fournier, and the whole deal there. Dang, that feels so long ago. What was I? I was a junior in high school, now I'm a sophomore in college. So timeline-wise, in real life years, it doesn't seem like a lot. But from a junior in high school to a sophomore in college, feels like a lifetime ago. But anyways, I got to give it to Jamal Mosley being in the top 3 here for Coach of the Year. But I got to give number 1 to Mark Daigneault. And now moving on to Rookie of the Year. This is a very easy conversation. It's, of course, Brandon Miller. Roll Tide! Brandon Miller, I'm kidding. I wish it was Brandon Miller, but no. It's obviously going to Victor Wembanyama. The hype in every facet was absolutely correct. I remember after his first Summer League game when it was a little bit underwhelming, people were calling him a bust already, and I remember I made a video on it saying, relax. It's one Summer League game. Let's not take it and run with it, media, but people did, of course. But this man has and is going to change the NBA for a very long time. I could put him, and I do have him in my top 3 in DPOY, and there's an argument to be made to win it, but the San Antonio Spurs record, he won't win it. Plus, being a rookie, that just won't really happen. But next year, he could really get into those DPOY conversations. But for Rookie of the Year, all the hype was correct, and he is going to be a menace in the NBA for a long time, win multiple DPOYs, if not the most ever, probably win an MVP. He's just got to figure out to get a better team around him, which that's up to Coach Pop and whoever comes after Coach Pop, because he obviously doesn't have too many years left, plus management. But as of right now, it's a good spot for him to learn under Coach Pop in San Antonio. He's got Tim Duncan to his disposal. He got the Admiral to his disposal. Some of the greatest big men we've ever seen in this league. He's going to be all right. But for my 2 and 3 spots, at 2, I got to give it to Brandon Miller. And the reason why I put him over Chet Holmgren, maybe some recency bias, maybe because I go to the University of Alabama. Both of those would be correct. But again, this is my list. And both of them have a very worthy conversation if Victor Wembanyama didn't exist to be Rookie of the Year. But I got to give number 2 to Brandon Miller and number 3 to Chet Holmgren. But they're like, Victor Wembanyama is 1A, and the other guys are 1B and 1C. Moving on to Defensive Player of the Year, and for me, it has to go to Rudy Gobert. Last season, there were a lot of questions. Has Rudy Gobert fallen off? Because obviously it wasn't working with Karl-Anthony Towns. As we established, Chris Finch fixed that, and now they're their 2nd seed in the Western Conference, 55-25, still competing for that number 1 seed. And guess who leads the league in defensive rating? Once again, Mr. Rudy Gobert. Last season, I'm going to be honest, I look like I'm going to say, what's up, brother? I didn't mean to do that. But I'm going to be honest. I did not have a lot of love for Rudy Gobert last year. It wasn't working out in Minnesota. A lot of high hopes coming into the season. Didn't meet any expectations. And Rudy Gobert didn't help that at all. Kind of having a little bit of a fall off here. But this year, he's right back at his DPOY candidacy. And I'm giving it to Rudy Gobert. Second option here, Victor Wembanyama. But like I said earlier, does not meet the win criteria with only 21 wins on the year. Does not meet the win criteria whatsoever. But he is second as a rookie in defensive rating. As a rookie, he is second right behind Rudy Gobert at 106.0 defensive rating on the year, right behind Rudy Gobert. As a rookie, in this man's paint presence, I've never seen people, more specifically guards, not even guards, from guards to center, I've never seen a whole league scared to drive on one individual as much as Victor Wembanyama. And then third place, it's got to go to Bam Adebayo, who is just always top echelon defender. He is ranked 5th in defensive rating this year, and he's just an absolute menace. I love watching Bam Adebayo's intensity on defense. He brings it on the offensive end, of course, but the intensity on the defensive end, it's in the Heat culture. It's in Bam Adebayo. You could make an argument for Anthony Davis. You could make an argument for a few other guys, or Jarrett Allen, who's had a pretty quiet year, but he's always a great defender, and statistically, he's doing another great year as well, but not really getting enough love this year. But my top 3 guys got to be, of course, Rudy Gobert, Victor Wembanyama, and Bam Adebayo. All right, it's the time y'all have been waiting for, the MVP. The most valuable player. And it's between 3 guys, of course. We know it. Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. One of them has to win it. And in my opinion, the third guy on my list, and he originally, throughout the season, he was number 1. But over the last month and a half, the 2 guys ahead of him have kind of separated themselves into their own category. So the third guy for MVP has to go to my boy, sadly, SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 80% of the season, he was my personal MVP. But over the last month and a half, Luka and Nikola Jokic have kind of solidified themselves as the real 2 top candidates to win MVP. SGA's averaged 30 points per game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 54% from field, 36% from 3, which is a great shooting percentage for someone who's not the best 3-point shooter and doesn't really take a lot of them. That's a respectable 3-point percentage and effective field goal percentage of 57%. And on top of that, this man averages the most steals per game for anyone in the league. He is also top 10 in defensive rating with a defensive rating of 110, surrounded by mostly all big men. The only guards around him are Jalen Suggs and then Anthony Edwards. The rest of them are all big man. Let's just get that through your heads. SGA is a top echelon defender, averaging the most steals in the entire NBA at over 2 per game. SGA, let's just remember, it's not just what he does on the offensive end. It's his whole holistic game is MVP level. but not quite like these other two guys. So that leaves Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic. So the second guy here is Luka Doncic, and my MVP for a third time is Nikola Jokic, and here's why. It was really hard for me. Over the last week, over the last month, I should say, I went from SGA 1,000% to maybe not. Luka and Jokic have separated themselves to, over the last month, a constant battle in my head of Jokic. Luka, Jokic, Jokic, really leaning towards Luka. For the last week, it's been Luka Doncic because they have slowly but surely moved their way up in the standings in the Western Conference. If you look at strength of schedule, the Denver Nuggets have one of the weakest in the league, ranked 29th, playing the Spurs once, and then the Memphis Grizzlies once. They're just, if they don't win both of those, I don't know what to tell you. But so it's looking like the Denver Nuggets are going to get that number one seed. And you're going to tell me, a man who was the number one seed in the Western Conference, averaging 27, 12-9, isn't going to win MVP? I'm sorry. I just have to give it to Nikola Jokic. Now, on the contrary, Luka Doncic is putting up a masterclass on this season, averaging 34, 9-9, on around 50% from the field and almost 40% from three. Don't get me wrong. If Nikola Jokic didn't exist, Luka Doncic would run away with this award. But I'm sorry, the Denver Nuggets as a team exist, who are most likely going to wrap up that number one seed, and they have the best player in the league in Nikola Jokic, who makes the game look easy. Let's not forget that. As a big man who's pretty unathletic looking, is secretly athletic with his footwork and makes the game look like he's playing chess and everyone else is playing checkers. So based off the time I started recording this video at around 1:30 p.m., it's now almost 3. I got a lot of editing to do, which y'all don't know because the video is already edited. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. I'll be back very, very soon. And what are your takes on my NBA awards for the 2023-2024 NBA season? Let me know down in the comments below. See y'all very soon. And like always, peace out.